Hey everybody, we have another class today and we're going over some basics with Active Directory, what the purposes are and how we can leverage some red team activities within our sandbox environment. Alright, earlier we showcased the process of creating a group policy, um, and we had a question regarding performing a password complexity setting globally to a set of systems. So in this case, and actually to backtrack to the steps, we went to uh, the search function, went to Active Directory users' computers as a domain administrator. We right-clicked our domain name, added a new organizational unit, which actually showed up here in users and computers. And then we decided to create the password complexity GPO. So once we created this organizational unit, we created a GPO in this domain, clicked and linked it here, named it password complexity, and then we're going to give it a crazy password uh, length here. So we're going to define the policy and then hit enable. And then we're going to give it a minimum password length. And then the typical one is going to be approximately 16 characters, but we'll make it, see if it lets us do 100 or 99 characters. Looks like it maxes out at, it looks like 20. That's a shame. But we'll keep it at 16. According to this is a good strong character count length of a password, so we're just going to stick with that. Minimum password age, we can do up to a year. Is it going to be a good age for a password? And then store password using reversible encryption. I haven't played with that too much, but I would probably advise against that. Enforce password history. This is just a good one to remember. However, um, with this, this may not be as strong of a control as you might think. Often people will just add a 1 or a 2 at the end of their password, making it really easy to forget. Um, so, if you're looking to educate your user base with a set of passwords, just give them a passphrase rather than a password with extreme character complexity. So, a password saying a password saying this is a very strong password, believe me, is much better than capital Z at sign parentheses and then a 1. Um,
Mm.
so you'll see that a long password, and actually, let me show you the receipts. Password complexity chart. This is back in 2023. It's a little outdated. That is true. But no matter how quote unquote strong your password is, if it's 6 characters, you're gonna get owned. You get a little bit
Oh.
more luck within the 10 character world if you're using a crazy complicated password. But again, let's say I use a phrase, um, you'll probably figure out this password in 5 seconds. Will definitely beat a very complicated 10 character password. So just something to remember. This is something I'm starting to live by. I use passphrases all the time. Easy to remember. I'm looking at my desk right now. Uh, these breath mints taste good, right? Um, is not only easy to remember, um, but in terms of guessing or cracking a password, even dictionary attacks um, cannot identify the character length of the words used or the amount of spaces leveraged within a password. Um,
Hmm.
okay, so getting into that, so that's the defender side, right? Um, the defender side here is we're going to do password age, password length is 16 characters, um, and then must meet complexity requirements, right? I don't know if there's any additional complexity requirements. We'd probably have to dive deeper into that, wherever that might be. Um, but aside from that, we can identify a couple of things like lockout policy and Kerberos policy. So these two pieces will identify what happens if somebody locks out, or what happens if somebody logs in too many times or attempts to log in too many times. So in this case, the one of the two most important settings in terms of passwords is the lockout threshold. There's absolutely a fine line between too secure and too available. Um, in a lot of cases, especially people starting out, um, will make it one invalid login attempt, and if you absolutely accidentally fat finger your password, you're locking a ton of people out, and then people can't do their jobs. Um, Probably 15 will also be too high. You're going to give too many attackers the ability to spray or reuse passwords in an environment. So, a password spray attack, if you may not know, is where attacker goes in, has a set of passwords that they want to use across multiple users. So, one of the most common ones are like summer 2024, um, fall 2024, autumn 2024, yada yada. And then instead of trying to hack one person's account, they use 100 different accounts, and therefore do not lock out that account, basically going under the radar.
Hmm.
So, um, so usually,
So I'm sorry. So what you mean is, rather than trying to just hack into one account, they try to hack into like hundreds of different accounts with one try.
that's right.
Okay.
And then you'll see kind of the threshold or duration, right? You'll see lockout duration 30 minutes, right? So reset lockout counter. Um, this is the time that it checks within a certain time period. Um, so certain hackers will know to get around this.
Hmm.
So they'll set their attack script to try a second password, and then cycle that every hour, 30 minutes, whatever, what have you. Okay.
Hmm.
So I personally like the 30 minutes, but if you have a reset um, service, or you feel that your company is small enough to handle like manual unlocking accounts, then 1 hour can be good for you. But
Okay.
in an environment where there's at least like 500 more people, 30 minutes may be good. and then um, maybe even more than 5 login attempts will be a good one as well. Okay, so um, basically, we created this user computer, we created the password complexity GPO, we applied it to that system. What happens now, right? You'll see that nobody's assigned to this user computer's OU. So what we have to do is either assign a group or a computer to this system. So what we want to do is we'll add a computer to it, and then we'll look for a user here. So in this case, I believe it's Vagrant. That's the workstation name. Um, sorry, that's not the computer. It's oh, actually Win10. I'm sorry. So let's look for Win10. Let's look across the environment, locations, object type. Okay, so users, groups. Looks like all we can look for is users. Let's see. Computer name, Win10. So we created a new object within this system, but what we actually want to do is look for the Win10 system and ensure that it's applied to that organizational unit. So let me just double check that we're actually in the domain. So in this case, you'll see that the name of the system right here at the top left is win10.windomain.local. But if we look right here, you'll see that during the deployment of the system, the machine domain got stuck in work group, which means it's in individual standalone non-domain joined system.
Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna go to this PC and then we're gonna right click and see if we can manage it. So this PC, you can right click it and then hit manage. And then we're gonna go to it's been a while since I've done this. Let's give it a shot. I did this on my video. Let's see if I can remember. It should be under computer management, I think. Or let me go back to this PC. And then I think maybe properties. Let's see, properties, device manager. Sorry about that. So you see right here, computer name, domain, and workgroup settings.
Mm-hmm.
And then under system properties, this is what I've been trying to pull up. To rename this computer or change its domain or workgroup, click change. So we're going to go to the domain, and then it's going to be win domain, as soon as I can, domain.local. So as long as it has network access, usually you'll be either on the same network or it has some type of domain name resolution with this. So because it's on the same network, it should know where windomain.local is. Okay, it's gonna ask for our domain admin and password that's associated with this. So we're going to do vagrant and then vagrant. And then what should happen, yep, welcome to the windomain.local domain. Okay, in order to get this going, we have to restart. I'm okay with that. So once we hit close, it should ask to restart now. And then what's going to happen, go
Mm-hmm.
ahead.
So I'm trying to follow your steps over here, where I'm trying to add the Win10 into the windomain.local,
Mm-hmm.
and then I get a pop-up saying the following error occurred validating the name Win10. A duplicate, potentially the shortened NetBIOS name exists on the network. You should choose a different name. So if,
Uh,
in this case, I just need to change the name.
yeah, I mean, so when you typed in windomain.local,
Hmm.
it said it already saw you. It already saw Win10, right? So
Yes.
let's go to computers and see if this is already here. If Win10 is
On
already there,
PC. Okay. Let's see.
yeah, we're gonna want to look in the
Active
computers.
Directories, computers. Well, it says no items show in this view.
Okay, that's a little surprising. I would have expected to see it. Okay, so let me try to recreate the problem here. Input, and then we're gonna do insert control delete. I'm doing a class. Okay, we're still getting oh, never mind. Logon domain is Win10. Okay, so at this point, we may need to refresh um, the computer's OU as well. And if we're still not seeing it, we may just need to add it to the relevant group. Um, okay, so let's see. We see the link is available. Oh, sorry. Okay. So what we may want to do is add an additional system. Properties. Managed by. Okay, let's find all systems available. So let's look for Win10 computers. Okay, Win10 domain dot local. It's under domain controllers. Oh, in this case, it looks like it needs to be a part of some type of primary group. So if we add or remove this, we'd have to add it to an existing group. So let's see. Let's go ahead and log in to the Win10 domain.local system. We're going to go into the system here and we're going to do GP result. So it looks like um, looks like for whatever reason we didn't get the OU, or it's not available in Active Directory. So when troubleshooting a GPO issue, um, typically what you want to do is we're going to do go into command prompt or PowerShell. I prefer PowerShell. And again, you can use PowerShell or command prompt commands pretty interchangeably within PowerShell. So in this case, we're going to do GP update. So group policy update, and we're going to force it through. So usually it takes about a minute or two for this to get going. At the same time, okay, looks like it got done sooner than I expected. And we're going to get a result of the resultant set of group policy on the system. And this will tell us what type of group policy we received from the domain controller. We know that when domain is available, I'm sorry, when 10 has been added to the Win domain. Um, so it just might be a matter of waiting for Win10 to do a connection to the domain controller for us to see that domain controller. So going back to
Hey, the thing is, over here, okay, let me go back to the find. So you find computers,
yeah, and you'll
and
see
then
that
type in.
I'm having the same problem, right?
Mhm.
So we will need to find the computer name somehow. Um, One thing you could do is always like it looks sounds like you were trying to go to the find option, and we'll just
Yeah.
go to find now. And all we saw was that domain controller um, that I created. So what I did is I went and deleted it.
Hmm.
And what we want to do is identify how to get that system available on the WinDomain um, domain. Okay, so in this case, let's see. It is able to communicate, so we're gonna go to the actual Win10 device. And we do see password complexity is actually applied to the system. We just can't see this the device. So it looks like um,
All right, I probably got lost somewhere. Hold on a second.
yeah,
Let's
yeah.
see. Yeah.
So when I deleted that system, I actually removed it from that GPO. So we actually did have it in Active Directory.
Hmm.
So let's actually troubleshoot your piece here. You had that issue with I'm sorry, the Windows 10 device, and you got
Yes,
that.
when I try to add myself into the domain, it says that there's already uh, a user for Win10 on the domain that I'm trying to go into, so it's asking me to change my name.
It sounds like um, hang on. For some reason, I can't move anything on this Win 10 device. I might have to close it. Okay, let me close this out. I'll save the machine state, and then you can go ahead and share your screen, and we'll troubleshoot that problem.
Alright.
And this is already like Active Directory administration, so
Mhm.
um, feel free to like showcase this kind of knowledge. Um, this really is a lot of what you'll be doing day to day, either as like a help desk analyst or a systems administrator. Okay. So we created a
Yeah.
password complexity. Um, let's go over to your Win 10 device.
WinTech. All right, this one is WinTech. Okay, so Win10. Let me. Actually, I think I probably didn't set up the DC correctly because you have the user directory here. I don't have it. How did you add that again? It's new
Yeah.
organize OU.
Yeah. New OU.
Do that first. New user group. And did you add anything into the new user group? I don't recall.
Actually, I think users was just there.
Users was there originally. That's all
Yeah.
these.
So it
And
looks like
added a new user group. Hmm.
yeah. Looks like something happened during your installation, but that's just your luck, man.
I mean, users was always here. You added the new user group one. Was
Yeah.
if I
It
recall? Yeah.
was I think called. What was it called? Me.
Oh, we made losers inside users.
Yeah. There we go. That's what it was. And we
But
we
then
had
I remember you said you created a new UO as well, and I didn't do that. That's why
it
I
was
was curious.
I created user computers.
I use computers. I use
Yeah.
it name as user.
You could call it workstations. That's usually the term, but it's whatever you want it to be. So
All right,
you right
you're,
click.
you're showing the group policy. Oh, let me go
Yeah,
into that.
and you can do that in Active Directory as well.
Okay.
New and then organizational unit here.
Yeah, I created a new. I named it new and did the password complexity here.
Hmm.
Okay, and then let's go to Win10 and just show what I was doing. And here, computer name change. And then we try to go to domain, and it was what was the domain again that we were trying to go into?
Windomain.local.
Windomain.local. Oh yeah. And then we get this one.
Um. Let's change it. Or what is the question? Because it looks like we can probably replace it.
Well, we can replace it. Would you still like to you should choose a different would you still like to attempt this operation? So
Yeah.
I guess there's two options. There's one I just continue with Win10 despite this error, or I can change the computer name.
Yeah, and you actually had to click the domain button, right?
Yes.
Before it was work group. So
Yes.
I would say yeah, go ahead and do it. This was a problem from the start, and then this is gonna be username vagrant, password vagrant.
Okay. Another start.
All right, so if we're in luck, once you log in, I would still do a GP update and then force update.
Mm-hmm.
What that does, again, it knows to connect to Active Directory. It does multiple check-ins, and then periodically, the group policy updates will happen on its own. But you can always force it to check in, or if there was a problem with it, it'll um, it'll bypass whatever issues it may have had.
What was the string again? GP
Um,
update.
yeah, GP update / force. You gotta type the whole thing force.
Uh,
Yeah, the slash F or slash R syntax is when you want to do the GP result, which will tell you what you got in a troubleshooting scenario. So let's actually check. Let's do GP result and then slash R. What that'll do is it'll look into whatever resulting group policies that I got. And just let me know when you have that going.
yeah, the
Let me know.
computer stall.
I'll probably just press enter, or if it's stuck, that's normal.
Actually, I think the VM
Yeah,
is
it's choking.
yeah.
That's what happened to me.
I mean, it kept flashing before.
Yeah.
I'm
Um,
like, I just recently updated my computer with some new RAM because I had 16 before. Now I updated it to 32.
nice. Yeah, RAM's pretty cheap, so getting a usable amount isn't too tough. It's the CPUs that's tough.
Mm-hmm. Maybe I need
Um,
to restart this machine.
yeah. So what you can do is either press X or I think it's
I think
machine.
it's the VM itself
Yeah.
that's having the issue.
Yeah. So I'm gonna do save. I press X, and then it'll show like a different prompt. You want to save machine state, power off, or tell it to straight up shut down. I just hit save the machine state. So if any piece of the memory or like you had uh, either one of your RAM cards or having an issue um, processing that information, if you put it in a different physical drive, you'll have a good chance of it working again.
Wait, so you said pressing X on Win 10
Yeah, so
or
you see the window on the yeah, and then more to the right, just like the whole box. Just hit X.
okay,
Yeah,
that
yeah,
X, okay.
yeah, yeah. I overcomplicated my explanation. My bad. Okay, so that'll basically kill it, and then oh man, it's I don't even have a loading bar when I do that. Yeah. Okay, so once it's done, you just hit start again,
Mhm.
and then it'll um, most of the vast majority of the time it'll just work. But yeah, you have a hamster CPU, so who knows? Okay, so GP result / R for which means report. Okay, so the GP update did work.
Mhm.
Um, that tells us okay, cool. So you'll see here, you'll get a ton of results on the exact information that you have, what group policies that you got, what groups or users are available on that system, etc., etc. Right?
Mhm.
And
Okay.
then domain name Win10, which means we successfully connected or a domain join this system. So now what you can do is effectively start applying group policies to this device. In this case,
From
go ahead.
the other, from the DC, right?
Yeah, from the domain controller. Yeah. So we're gonna want to mess around with that part. What happened there? I think I accidentally closed my DC, but that's okay. Okay. So let me go back to windomain.local, and then we're gonna look for computers, and then we're gonna do find all. For some reason I can't find it, but I can find user computers here in the Win 10 domain. In this case, I'm gonna go ahead and delete this box, be- and then you'll see that I couldn't find it. So let's go ahead and add it again. New computer. We'll see if we have like a problem with this, and we'll do Win 10. See if it lets us. In this case, we didn't have any problem with it. It looks like it did find it. That's a good sign. And you'll see that it's part of computers. It's also part of.
Can you go back to that adding the new computer part again for me?
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
you could just right click. So we'll just hit
Okay.
new and then computer. There it is. Yeah. And then you can type Win 10 here.
All right. So here, this is what happened. Windows cannot create the new computer object because the pre-Windows 2000 computer name Win10 is already in use. Select another name and then try again.
Okay, so let's see. I'm gonna do computer. Looks like
Do
yours
I
didn't.
do I also have to reset DC?
You shouldn't have to, but you can always
Uh-huh.
refresh. So there's that little refresh button here,
Mm.
and it'll start showing there. Yeah. Let's cancel out of here, and then we're just gonna
Uh,
do a find. So right click the windomain.local piece on the left side. That works too, but yeah. And then find, and then we're gonna click on the drop down right there. Yep, computers, and then find now. So you actually do have it. Yours worked better
mm.
than mine. So right click that and hit properties. Okay, and then you can go to member of, and then yeah. What we're gonna do is look for whatever OU or
Yeah,
group that you want it to be a part of.
works.
You can put it under computers or whatever. Check name, yeah. You want to check name first. Um, the easier way. So let's go ahead and cancel out of here. And cancel out of here. Out of all of this, really. Um, yeah, and then go to whatever. Oh, it's a little hard for me to see, but you're gonna go to whatever domain you want to be in.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, OU. Okay, so you want to add it to this one, right?
Well, I named it works. Yeah.
Okay, so
Actually,
in the
is
on
that
the right
right?
side,
The folder is
you're in the right
okay.
place.
Okay.
Yeah, and so in the empty space on the right side within AD, yep, and then hit new, and then computers or computer. Uh,
That's right. 54.
Yeah, my bad. Let me go ahead and see. In your case, you were able to find it,
Yes.
and then right click properties, member of add. Oh yeah, and then we just wanted to add the group that we wanted to be a part of. Okay, so in this case, we're gonna look for the group instead. So we're gonna do that find that we did earlier,
Uh-huh.
and then you can hit OK using computers, and then it should work. If that still doesn't work, select user computers. Oops. From this location, object type. Yeah, the current issue is that it's not currently part of like a computers group or domain controllers, because otherwise I could just go here and add it. Um, we could also do groups, add new. Let's see. Let's create a new group and call it. You're calling it works, right?
Oh, my you always called works.
Yeah, we could just call it the name thing, right? So I'm gonna do the same
Yeah.
thing that you just did. User computers and users. So I have this user computers, and then under members, I look for Win10. That's because I have to add computers. Add that to the user computers group. Hit OK, and then we're gonna add a group here. User computers. I think it was called user dash computers. Um,
All right, so that means you added the computer to the security group first. Is that what happened just now?
I created
You created a new group.
a group so that I can apply it to the user computers group. Um, and we're trying to make it work that way. But if we want to do some other way, let's see. Let's look into this. We can also delegate. Perfect. Okay. So, we just had to find another way around this. So here's what I did. Um, Under users, I created a new group called user computers.
Mhm.
Okay. In the user computers members, I added Win10 to that group. We can add as many as we want, but in this case, I just added the Win10 computer.
All right, so that's what I'm trying to do right now. I'm following your screen,
Uh huh.
and it still says it cannot find. Oh, object type maybe.
Even when
Computer. Okay, okay. I see what happened. I didn't. Okay.
Okay, yeah,
I, I,
in this case that should work because it should find it if you hit the check name.
yeah, what happened was I didn't hit computers in the
Yeah, I had to
when I
do.
tried to add it, I didn't select the object type computers. That's why. I
Yeah,
think that was the issue. Hmm.
that was definitely. I mean, right now was that was a problem, but there was definitely something else going on earlier.
Hmm. So now I added it to user computers like you.
Yeah. Okay. So we hit add, and then what I did after that is I went back to group policy management,
Hmm.
and then I went to delegation. So that tells it who else gets this, and then I'm gonna go and hit add, and then I added the user computers to this group, effectively um, sending this to that OU, and it links it to that system.
Hmm. Okay. So I changed my name. Let me create a new GPO.
And then you can manually hit group policy update. Anybody here, all computers within user computers and all subcontainers. No computer objects. Please select. No computer objects were found, which is weird because I just added it. But that's because I probably didn't do a policy update on the group change.
Mhm.
Okay. Um, so that's how we create a GPO or group policy. So one thing I think we want to check into next. Hopefully our Windows event stuff, our Win event logger and all that went through appropriately. I think it didn't because I do not see my WEF system here. So what I was hoping for was that we can see all this activity in Splunk, but without WEF, we may not have that data. So that's too bad. But um,
I'm sorry. Let's kind of backtrack you a little bit. Um, what did you do to the GPO again? I'm sorry, group policy management after we added Win 10?
yeah, so we added Win10 to that. So let's go back to the domain controller.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then what we did, let me go back to Active Directory, and then sorry, we went to users,
Mm-hmm.
and then we created a group called user computers, and
Mm-hmm.
then we added Win10 to that group.
Yes, we did.
Okay.
And then you went to do something at the group policy management after that.
Yes. So after that, we went to user computers, and then we went to delegation. At that
Delegation.
point, uh, we we hit add, and then we added the group user computers to the delegation of this OU, effectively um, enforcing the group policy of that device onto this system.
Hmm.
So if we want
Stall, stalling again.
to, yeah, and then last ditch, right?
Hmm.
You'll see password complexity. You'll see group policy objects.
Hmm.
These are all um, the global policies that you'll see in the system.
Hmm.
So you can create um, a new group policy object here without any inheritance or specific OU. This is
Hmm.
what people do sometimes, um, but if you want something to be global, you can just hit new and then new group policy object. Okay, so just a reminder, what we did was we added that security and lockout policy to that system. Nothing else should really be added, right? You'll see inherited no. Um, However, we'll see that we still had a couple of settings that I didn't realize we added. Maybe it was just automatically added by default. I'll have to look into that. Oh, this is just the permissions of that GPO. I'm sorry. So basically, who's able to link to it, who's able to modify, who's able to delete this setting from a permission standpoint.
All
And
right, so
then,
I added, I'm back into my system and I added, I pressed, make the screen bigger.
yeah, let me pull it up here. Okay,
And
so
delegation, I did the delegation. Okay, user computers, here it is.
yep, that's it.
Okay,
So let's go to settings. Another way to look at the same thing in the tab at the top. Go down more. More down. It's in the same like window kind of.
oh, okay,
Right
okay,
there, yeah. And then you'll see links. This is who is linked to that GPO.
okay.
So this effectively says who gets this policy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I know I'm giving you like a slightly more advanced thing, um,
Mm-hmm.
but um, once you start getting the hang of it, it really does become like uh, something you could do blindfolded. Um,
Mm-hmm.
the idea gets pretty straightforward, especially in an environment that has already been spun up and set up for you.
Mm-hmm.
In this case, right, we're doing things from the beginning.
Yeah.
So there's going to be a little bit extra friction because we're doing everything from the very beginning. So that comes with the territory of learning this kind of thing. Um,
So over here on links, the location is new. This location is referring to the group policy location, not anything from the Active Directory, right?
it looks like it actually is in Active Directory. Let me see how it looks on mine
Uh,
because mine says user computers
mm,
in the
so
location.
so what happened was when I first was following, like way in the beginning when I started doing this, I named group policy, the UO for group policy as new. And but then the UO the UO that I created in the Active Directory was works. Now I changed the name to user computers just to match yours so I can follow along without any confusion.
No
And
worries.
I'm one.
Uh,
Mm,
I would probably like let it bake. You might have to
mm-hmm,
like give it a minute for it to update to in accordance to what you're trying to make it do.
mm-hmm.
In this case, like location should fix itself. If not, we could research how to like make it less confusing. And maybe have
Yes,
to rename the OU again, or hit group
uh,
policy update or something like that.
Okay, I think okay. All right.
Yeah, so I
See
would
what
break.
or what I might actually try to do is. Mm, well, you know what? You can I'll continue following along from your video,
Mhm.
since you're gonna have to leave early, so I don't want to stall this like more than I should. And then after this ends, I'll try to by memory delete and redo everything to see if that works. If not, I'll wait for the video to come back up and I'll follow the video after you upload it.
Yeah, more reps for you. And to
Yeah.
be honest, in the video we went a little, sidewindy.
Mm-hmm.
But that's okay. As long as you're able to follow on the concepts, you can skip a couple pieces.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So in this case, what we did was we created an OU, we created a group, we linked that group to the OU and added the computer to that group, effectively applying the password policy to that one system. We could do this to one or many systems if we decide to. In this case, let's say we want to add a domain controller to a policy or a user or a computer. Um, we we have that ability to do that however we want. So that's the basics of like users, computers, and groups. I'm gonna go ahead and save a snapshot really quick because I'm gonna want to take a step back. Um, we're gonna do before. What was the name of the tool here? Let me cancel. I'm gonna completely tear apart and mess up this environment. So if you're following along, I definitely uh, definitely recommend creating a snapshot shot before you run this because this is gonna mess everything up. And for our case, it's gonna be on purpose. So I'm gonna call this before bad blood. Um, let's just call it seconds before disaster. I'm doing this on the domain controller.
Now, if only we can take a snapshot of life.
Yeah, Prince of Persia. Okay, so this is gonna once we go to the machine, pick whichever snapshot we choose. We can go ahead and do that, um, and then we're gonna do file manager. Let's make sure we can actually find the snapshot that we're looking for. Machine settings. So I took snapshot, but is there, what are the options to revert to a certain snapshot? Show. Okay, so let me restore current. Okay, so we're gonna power off the machine and restore current snapshot before bad blood. Okay, so when we took the snapshot, I believe it was 8:23 or something like that. We're gonna run this again just to make sure that everything's back up and running. And then just as a sanity check, I'm gonna go on Google or something. We may have done a time update. So we're gonna go Google. Okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and close this out, power off, and then it should show the folder that we had earlier. Running this again,
Mhm.
and the backup worked. Awesome. And you'll see that the time updated right away. So
Okay.
we're good to go. We can start performing any of these tools if we want to. PowerSploit being a PowerShell framework similar to like a Metasploit, You can also perform reconnaissance, code execution, get computer detail. So we're going to go ahead and run this just to show you guys what it looks like. What I meant to do, let's run with PowerShell ICE. ISE just gives us a nice little permanent place to look at this. Let's see, why isn't it giving us a screen to look at? It may be because I'm not administrator. Let's try it one more time.
Is it possible because of the quotation marks?
Let's see. Yeah, it looks like we probably have to use a module to get this running, so um, we won't worry about this too much. I wanted to showcase a couple like reconnaissance type of things within the video really quick, but let's just go ahead and blow up our Active Directory. Alright, so we should be able to run with PowerShell, and then press any key to continue. Yep, you absolutely do not want to do this kind of thing uh, in an environment where you care about it. Okay, type bad blood to deploy some randomness into a domain, and you'll see that it's going to create 2,500 users, 500 groups,
Ooh.
and 100 computers into the system. A lot of them will have the passwords in the description, and
Hmm.
you'll see I'm getting a lot of like weirdness here. This is probably because you'll see it's not finding the in this case directory object not found, object not found. Either I don't have the permissions or something like that. But let's go ahead and refresh and see if it's actually doing anything yet, or if it's again a a permission issue that I'm coming across. In this case, oops, looks like it's not doing anything yet. So we're safe for now. So let's jump out of this. There should be, I think it's Control Shift, or is it Control? I should be able to run as. Okay, so let's do this. Within Bad Blood Master, oh, it's invoke. Okay, this is taking a little longer to load. Permission denied, huh? Interesting that it's stopping us this time. Wonder why that is. Is Vagrant not the domain administrator? Let's find out. Okay, so we're gonna go here. Oh, there it is. So, fairly imperfect, right?
Mm.
We didn't have all the permissions. For some reason, there was a couple things that got messed up in the process. Um, but well, it looks like we had some level of success here.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing, let's check who is in. This is the administrator user. That's not what I meant to do. We're looking for domain admins. There we go. Let's see who's in here. Okay, that's going to be why. So what we want to do, see if it lets us add Vagrant. Boom, apply, and that's why we had the issue. So let's go back to that script. We're going to cancel it. And we should have a lot more success here. If not, I probably just needed to do a GP update. So that I can get domain admin. Okay, and let's give it a third attempt here. Third time's a charm. But with my luck, it'll probably be 5. We'll see. Okay. So we're still getting a whole ton of administrators. I'm sorry, groups that weren't here before. A ton of weird OUs that we haven't seen before.
Mm-hmm.
Systems that were added here. You'll see how this has been created, who created it. And a ton of disabled accounts. So it looks like with whatever permissions we had, we were able to create OUs, unassociated OUs, as well as disabled users with probably, yeah, no specific attachments to any like groups or anything like that,
Mm-hmm.
other than that the typical domain users group. So, um, assuming I had a lot more permissions, um, I could do a whole lot more damage to the environment. But let's see. Let's try again. If I'm still having issues, we'll probably do some troubleshooting later to see what's going on with it.
Mm-hmm.
But what we're gonna do now, we're gonna start with all your data, confirm and continue. No. Okay. So let's look at this activity in Splunk and see what Splunk shows us. I'm gonna go to the logger, and then I always forget the IP address of the logger. So let's look it up really quick. Um, and I think it's port 8000 or something, if I remember correctly.
Yes, I remember port 8000.
All right.
I guess you can just search for 8000. It'll come up.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's the original. Let's just look at logger. Oh, looks like it's not completely provisioned. Okay. This is 10.0.2.15 looks like. Oh wait, no, I'm wrong. Right here, 192.168.56.105. Okay, so we're gonna type that in. We're gonna go into Edge, and then it's gonna be 192. 192.168. 56.105. Oh, here it is. Go to web page, ignore the warning signs. It's an internal machine, so it's not that big of a deal. Assuming the Splunk service works, we should be able to get into Splunk really quick and then view the actual uh, activity that we created on the domain controllers.
Mm-hmm.
So this concept is called purple teaming. So when you invoke an exploit or run some type of script, and then you view the activity from a forensic standpoint and try to reverse engineer the activity, that's called purple teaming. Uh, yeah, that's annoying. Looks like I have to do this from my regular laptop, which is annoying, but that's okay. Okay, so we're gonna go log in, admin, and change me as a typical default credentials. Okay, and then let's hope that the Windows Event Forwarder traffic is available. It's all Zeek, and yeah, we're only getting Zeek traffic, that's a bummer.
Why is that?
So what I was hoping for is within the domain controller, we have an available process called um, sysmon, procmon, what have you. And then there's this event forwarder. Often we'll even have like a Splunk event forwarder on the system. So if we go here, it's either not tools, but some kind of agent. We'll have a program installed that actually forwards the logs over directly to Splunk. Um, in this case, the Windows event forwarder. So if we go here to the WEF, the way I believe this one's configured instead is that we have a PowerShell script that runs occasionally, um, automatically grabs the information from the other three systems, and then forwards them over to the logger.
Mm-hmm.
So, assuming we had the correct configuration and the tools available, we would have seen all of the activity and really all the stuff that we were doing showing up in a source type called sysmon.
Mm-hmm.
So if we go index equals star and then stats count by index, today all we have is Zeek, so we'll try to figure that out and see if we can get it going. But for now, really all we have is are the Zeek logs directly installed on the logger, which tells us all the network information related to this system. So all we have right now is this guy. What we're hoping
Hmm.
to get is the other three. So we'll try to troubleshoot that. Maybe we have to reprovision or something. Um, and you'll see while I did the vagrant out command, it's probably because we had Splunk fail to update or something like that.
Hmm.
We came across a couple issues, but we were successful in creating a group policy, running the Bad Blood script, creating a crap ton of OUs and users, disabled users at the very least, um, assigning a computer to the user computer's OU, um, and then creating the group policy itself. So I wanted to do a little bit more, but I think this is more than enough uh, for you to ingest. Really,
Hmm.
we definitely went over a lot. Um, so what I'm hoping to do is actually get into like into the forensic side of things using Splunk. Um, Failing to do that, we can always look locally on the domain controller using Event Viewer or some other tool.
All right, so I have a question about Splunk. Is that does the IP address that we enter to get into Splunk different depending on which computer we are looking into, or does it pull everything like?
There's a template, so it should always
Mhm.
be this one right here, the 192.168.56 and
So
1.
it's based on our IP address.
It's not.
No,
So
okay.
it should always be that 192.168.56, no matter who you are.
If
Um,
that's the case, how does going into Splunk they how because it's not a internet address, it's a local.
yeah, it's all local. So it's a
Mm,
class C, which
mm-hmm,
means anything under 192.168, and then the
mm-hmm,
rest are private and nobody else can see that.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Okay, okay. So that means it's not accessing information over the internet, but like in local domain, all the information is local. Okay, okay. So
Yeah.
that's why I was wondering why you were doing it on the VM on the DC, and but you went onto your regular desktop Chrome to check. You were able to check it through your regular desktop Chrome. So I was like wondering why that was.
Yeah, it's because my local computer is hosting everything, and
Mm-hmm.
I have a direct connection to those systems.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there's probably like a security flaw there that I may not know about.
Mm-hmm.
But seeing as my computer accesses these or is the one hosting this data, I
Mm-hmm.
should be able to access it pretty easily unless I do something pretty specific to keep myself out of it.
Okay.
Yeah. And I'm sure there's like some best practices that are related to like locking down these systems so I can't just like do what I just did.
Mm-hmm.
But I just wanted to show Splunk and see if it worked.
Okay.
Um, yeah. For some reason, uh, Splunk is pretty picky about how it's accessed. So I couldn't just like
Mm-hmm.
log into it through Edge or whatever. Or at least the old
Okay.
version of Edge.
All right.
Okay. So that's the basics of Active Directory. Um, at least from like a group policy administration standpoint. We can do a lot of activity using PowerShell if we choose to do that. I just don't remember like the commands to create new users and apply them to different groups off the top of my head. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but I guess I'll part with this. Uh, Give me a PowerShell command that creates a domain user. So we want to know what fields are related to it. So um, in this case, we want given name, surname, Sam account. That's the like actual account name. User principal. That's going to be the primary user. So let's copy this. I don't see any differences here. Okay, and then the path, we're going to change this to DC equals DC. I'm sorry, DC equals windomain dot local.
Mhm.
So let's copy this, and then we're going to change. We might have a problem here, but let's see. Access denied. So that's actually good news. So what we're going to do is this should work. Paste. Windomain. Local. So we should see a user named John Doe. See that it
Mhm.
pops up here. Here's the account, jdoe at yourdomain.com. I meant to do windomain. That's my bad. I don't know where. Oh well. Um,
Well, I guess you did create the window main, and it has two, I guess, right? Is that what happened over there?
well. Oh, here it is.
Ah.
I forgot to change this out,
Hmm.
but that's why we have save states. So once we go here, we're gonna restore a snapshot, and then all the crap we just messed up
It's gone.
is gone. It's like we never messed up. All right.
That's what we need in life.
Yeah,
Uh,
wish. Redo buttons.
Yep. Recall.
All right. Yeah, that's it for today, man.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I appreciate the time for you. Feel free to play around with it. There's a couple tools that you can jump into back and forth. Uh, Definitely learn in any of these systems, they should all have a tools folder.
Hmm.
Um, at the very least, Win10 and the domain controller each have the the tools folder. So I'm gonna go to. Uh, I guess I was wrong. It looks like only controller has it, but yeah. DC will have that tools folder. Open up that tools folder. One of the cool ones for stealing passwords is Mimikatz.
Mm.
There's a ton of instructionals out there to learn how to steal hashes. Um, Really, it leverages the function of Kerberos. It basically gets between the Kerberos session data, impersonates a user, and then it says, "Hey, do you have this password hash?" And then basically it tells you um, kind of like a jump. If you know what a password hash is, you can plug that
Hmm.
into some type of either password cracker, or
Hmm.
you can look for it online if it's already been hacked. And
Mm.
at that point, you basically have the password.
Ooh.
So yeah,
Okay.
Mimikatz is one of those cool ones. I definitely recommend it. I might do a video on that one next week. But there's a
Okay.
lot of like um,
Stuff I can play around with.
yeah, it's one of those things you have to have trial and error with, and I want to make sure I get it right. Um, but at the very least, getting a password hash, even if you fail to crack it,
Mm-hmm.
is usually enough with enough time, and it's a weak enough password that you can basically own that account.
Mm.